Hello, 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 and welcome back to Myth Keepers. We are your hosts. I am Zach, and joining me as always, he loves the sight of me kneeling before him. It is Scotty fucking Westside.
True. Yeah. I'd much rather you be kneeling before me than the other way around. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, you give a little, take a little.
Yeah, except I don't like to give a little. I'm not a very generous
You're a
lover.
selfish lover,
I'm a very
huh?
selfish asshole. Absolutely.
Oh my god.
Absolutely.
That's
boy.
amazing. We are back.
We are
We're
back.
here to talk ACOMAF.
Hell yeah.
If you're new here, Scotty and I are reading the ACOTAR series for the very first time. We've never read romantasy or fairy porn. Let's call it what it is. And we're doing that today. Today we're discussing chapters 18 through 22 of A Court of Mist and Fury. And I am enjoying it. I don't want to speak for Scott, but I am enjoying it.
You dick. That's
Did you
all
have a good time with
right now.
Did you have a good time with these chapters?
I had a mixed time. I'll say that.
Okay.
I had a bit of a mixed bag for me, but we'll talk about that more. We'll get into it. But before we get into it, we need to give a shout out to all of our favorite people. We appreciate them. These are patrons that have gone to Mythkeepers. Or shit, boy, I blew that beautiful segue. Patreon.com/Mythkeepers. And are supporting us, and we appreciate them the most, so they get a special shout out. That is Hannah, Sarah, Kristen, Emma, Andrea, Terrence, Jenna, Chaz, Allie, Jen, Nathan, Jordan, Dom, and Nico. Thank you so much. We appreciate
We love you.
But we appreciate anyone that supports us the any way they can, watching, subscribing, leaving a comment, telling a family member, telling a friend, telling your grandma especially.
Grandmas love us here
Grandmas
at the Mythkeepers podcast.
Love us. One might say they love us too much. Like it's a little cloying sometimes how much grandmas love us, but
it's really just because we get down on our knees before them grandmas.
I had a feeling you were gonna make a reference to that. Any other little housekeeping you want to do before we jump in here, pal?
I think we're ready to talk. I'm ready to talk about it.
Okay, let's talk about it. Where we last left off at the end of chapter 17, they were going to go into the prison. Which is on an island somewhere in the west, but not that island that's in the west, I guess. We were
Highburn?
We were kind of confused by that. But Feyre, our girl, had a panic attack about going underneath a mountain again, and they left and did not go into the prison. So
Rhysand was just so hot. He was like, "Oh, you're scared? Don't worry." And he just takes her home.
Zach
doesn't even say a word.
For those of you that have missed the last couple episodes, Zach has become more than a little infatuated with one Rhysand.
Yeah. Yeah.
He will not shut up about him in the Discord. He will not shut up about him to me. So I'm sure him kneeling and doing things this section, this batch of chapters here will go very well for Zachy boy. Chapter 18 begins with Amren just chilling. Feyre wakes up in her bed and Amren's just chilling at the foot of her bed, like, sup? What you been dreaming? Good to see ya. How you doing?
She's like, you threw up in your sleep.
Hey, I can smell your throw up. It's gross.
Smell like ass, bro.
You smell like vomit, girl. Do better. Amren basically is just... Amren is always kind of projecting this aura of just do better. Like, I'm disappointed in you. Just be better.
There's no way somebody can stand next to her and feel like a shred of confidence.
Yes, exactly.
Unless you're as hot as Rhysand.
Of course, there it is. Amren gives her this magic amulet. And she's like, this is how I got out of the prison. As long as you have this, they cannot hold you. Also, just so we're crystal clear, this is a borrowing situation. I am not giving it to you. If you try and keep this, I will hunt you down, and your imagination cannot begin to compute what I will do to you. And I'm like,
yeah,
God damn, Amren.
Amryn stands on business, dude.
Amryn does. If there's one thing that is true about Amryn, is that she stands on business. She is like, fuck around and find out. I fucking dare you.
I feel like she almost wants her to keep it so that she can fuck with her.
There is almost an element of like, oh, I hope this bitch keeps it. I hope this bitch trying keeps it.
Dude,
which is
it's
very
good.
Then Rhys and her share this cheeky exchange. There's about 1 million of these here. He says he's not going to dock her pay, not to worry about yesterday.
Hold on. Did we miss something? Maybe we talked about it and I am forgetting. He's paying her?
I don't think so. I think that's just a joke.
Okay.
I think he's just doing a bit, You know how cheeky your favorite guy Rhys is.
I do know how cheeky he is.
Yeah, look at that ass.
I've seen pictures, man. He's pretty cheeky. He's
cheeked up on a Thursday afternoon.
Yeah.
Feyre remarks that this is the first time she's seen him with the sword. He's strapped. He's looking like Link out here.
Strap me on, daddy.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Rhys notes that Cassian is the best warrior in not only the Night Court, but in any of the courts. He's the best warrior in all the land, and that if it was exclusively hand-to-hand combat, Cassian could indeed beat even himself, Rhys.
I get so weirded out with you saying Cassian.
Yeah, I'm definitely doing it just to annoy you.
Okay. Yeah, I figured. It's Cassian.
Okay, sure. I'll try and remember that, but I always read it as Cassian, and I don't know why.
Because you're fucking psycho.
Because I want to call him cashew milk.
Yeah, cashew milk. All right.
Let's see what happens next.
So we learn a little bit about Azriel's scars.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of the old the hound in the mountain situation.
Yeah.
His older brothers burned his hands.
Yeah, his older brothers
in
suck.
fire and oil. So they have these healing properties, and they were like, "Hey, let's fuck around and find out." And just held his hands in the fire, so it's perpetually healing over these burn wounds, and just this never-ending cycle of burning and healing and burning and healing. So it sounds pretty fucking miserable.
Yeah.
I didn't get much more of that. It seemed like Azriel was just maybe I'm misremembering, stronger than them, so they fucked with him, or
something like that. So he is a bastard.
Yes.
And his two older brothers were true-born sons, so they especially fucked with him.
Right.
And the mother hated him especially also. A very much a Cat Jon Snow seemingly type of situation, except way more physically abusive and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
From what I recall. My next note here is about, I don't know how they get to start talking about this, but
is it the Morrigan stuff?
My girl Morrigan. Rhys tells Feyre that Mor is who I'll call in when the armies fail and Cassian and Azriel are both dead. Which maybe call her in before Cassian and Azriel die. I don't know.
Right.
And Feyre's so she's supposed to wait until then. And Rhys says, no, as my third, Mor is my court overseer. She looks over the dynamics between the Court of Nightmares and the Court of Dreams. She runs both Valeris and the Hewn City. I suppose in the mortal realm, she might be considered a queen. And I'm like, hell yeah.
That's my queen.
That's my queen for sure.
Yes.
I am a little bit torn about this, though, because the way he talks, and I could be wrong, but it just makes me feel like we're not going to get as much Morrigan in action as I want. If she's the diplomat, the politician, she's the queen, she's got to run shit while the others are going to be running around having adventures. That's not what I want. I want her in the shit. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't disagree with that sentiment, but I also feel that archetype of she has to play politics, but then when she finally is all right, calling out the big guns, like that's who comes in. I think that's also fucking cool.
It's cool. Yes, you're not wrong there. But again, the way Rhys talks here is like, that's his absolute last resort, is to even call her in. So I'm like, no, get her on the front lines.
Yeah.
Come on.
I have a sneaking suspicion that she will probably need to enter the fray at some point. Otherwise, she wouldn't be built up in this way.
I hope so. And you're probably right. And I hope you're right.
He also goes on to say, sorry.
Amren is kind of the next one.
Yeah, if the day comes where they're all dead and armies are beaten, he would find a way to break the spell on Amren and unleash her on the world, he says. So two things I want to talk about here.
That's not the last thing he says there.
Oh, what is happening? What is up with these fucking emotes? How do I turn this shit off?
I don't know. Yes, not only does Rhys say unleash her on the world, he specifically, the last part of his sentence is there, and ask her to end me first.
That's right. He does say that.
Mr. Most Powerful High Lord in the history of the realms is like, if Amren is unleashed, I'll just
please take me out.
Please take me out first, so I don't have to deal with what havoc you were about to unleash. Which, what the fuck is Amren? I mean, we kind of get a little bit of like,
lore
behind her.
All we get is more questions.
Yeah,
all we get is more questions.
True.
But I need to call two things out here.
Mm-hmm.
One, Amren sounds so cool, like just so badass, and she kind of in a way gives me like a Scott, I can't recall. Who is Frierin's nemesis at the end of the arc?
Like the other elf?
Yes.
Ciri.
Mm-hmm. She kind of gives me that vibe a little bit, but also a little bit of Frierin. Like just this weird, like this small like thing that is like incredibly powerful and also fucked up. So one, the first thing is just, she sounds so cool.
Right.
The second thing is, Rhys, if you're in the situation where like everybody's dead, your armies are beaten, you're then gonna go figure out how to break this spell?
Well, yeah,
you're gonna be like, hey, everybody, pause, time out. I gotta go get this shit solved.
True, first of all. But I think his point is just like, he would rather, if he's gonna lose, he's gonna take every fucker down with him. He is going to unleash the apocalypse world-destroying weapon if he's about to lose, I think is what he's trying to get at. My question to you is, do you think, like, Sarah J. Maas is, like, showing her hand a little bit too much here?
I wondered that. Like, well, I also, not just showing her hand too much, but I also wonder about, like, man, this like power scaling. Like if everybody is just this powerful,
that's
like how does this actually work?
Person ever. Everyone's the most powerful person ever. Cashew Milk's the greatest warrior ever. But if he fought Morrigan would absolutely smoke him down to cinders. Oh, but also Rhys is the most powerful High Lord in the history of the world. But also if Amren wasn't like wearing training weights, he would beg for death from her. So yes, I don't know where, like, listen, I historically hate power scaling in like One Piece, for example.
Sure, yeah.
But this, I'm just like a little bit confused and taken aback by it a lot of times.
It's funny that you say that about how everybody's the hottest person ever, because I'm gonna want to share a funny quote from the Discord, which, shameless plug, if you're listening and watching, join the Discord. We got all of the filthy commons and myth creepers are hanging out in there, talking shit and talking about the episodes and the books and everything.
Some great memes. Love a good meme.
Good memes. So join the Discord if you want that. Hit us up on Instagram or wherever, and we'll give you an invite link. But Hannah in the Discord, she says, that's something I love about SJM. A lot of authors are like, oh, she was so plain and yet strangely beautiful at the same time, but very, very plain.
True.
And SJM is just straight up like, Yeah, no, every single named character in this series is the hottest person you can possibly imagine.
Mhm.
Just unapologetically, quote, if an ugly person is mentioned, it's not my fucking book. So good.
That's my favorite part of that quote.
It's
Get
not my
your
fucking
ugliness
book.
out of my book. Get that shit out. I don't want to see about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't even want to look at it.
It's so and then a follow-up to this comment is Shannon in the Discord. It's so true. She does make every character, quote, the most beautiful man or woman anyone has ever seen. I read about Rhysand and Cassian, and my husband walks in the room in his Crocs. I love him, but it's not his fault. He isn't an SJM Faye man.
It's not his fault.
Fucking
True,
catching
brother.
strays, my boy.
What can
I know,
we do with
dude.
the face of
We're
fucking women
so
reading
fucked.
SJM? Like, what is a humble gent supposed to do?
Yeah, dude. Seriously,
That's very funny. But no, like seriously, it's not so much that like I'm saying like, oh, this is good. This is Chekhov's Amryn. Like she's gonna get unleashed at some point. It's not so much that. It's just like, yeah, just like maybe let there be a little bit more mystery about Amryn for a while. Like you've already hinted at like her power before.
yeah.
Like, did we really need just like this plain spelling out of it right
Like
away?
she is my trump card.
Yes. I don't know. It's a little I don't know. I don't know what I want to say about it.
I definitely took note of that, and I don't disagree. But the main thing I took note of is that like everybody seems too strong. Like
Yes.
how does like actual conflict that is a struggle
Right.
happen with all these incredibly powerful people?
Like
But
what's going to happen when they introduce finally the King of Highburn? Is it going to be like, oh, Amryn in her unleashed form is like this is like perfect cell fighting Vegeta. She's just
fraction
gonna get,
of
she's just gonna get her
I'm
butt
not
kicked
even using my
instantly. Exactly. This is some DBZ ass shit if I've ever seen it.
I'll fight you with my hands behind my back. Yeah.
So anyway, they're back at the prison.
Yes.
And
So I hope you enjoyed this because I really enjoyed this whole prison chapter.
This is probably my least favorite chapter of the bunch, to be honest.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well,
we'll talk
about it.
They get to the prison, and Rhys tells her the prison has its own law, but also it falls under his jurisdiction, so only he has access, and he can sentence people there. So I don't know where is its own law. It seems like you're kind of the law. Anyway, he takes sentencing people there very, very seriously because the prison he talks like the prison kind of has a will of its own, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
He says the prison will never let them out, but yes, he has sentenced people there before, but he's like, now it's not the time to talk about that.
Apparently Amryn was held here.
Yes. Feyre asks how long Amryn. Well, we knew that. Yeah, she asked how long Amryn was in here, and Rhys is like, "Oh yeah, Asriel looked into that once. Best we can figure, probably several millennia." And he's like, "I haven't." Oh, I think Feyre's like, "Well, why don't you just ask her?" And he's like, she'll tell me when she finds it necessary." What the fuck?
Yeah.
Apparently, yeah. So she was probably put in before Prythian and the courts were formed.
Yes.
But then she escaped sometime after the courts were formed, something along those lines.
So he goes on to explain that there were these rips in the fabric of realms.
Yeah, talk about this.
And creatures could walk through them.
Yeah.
But occasionally a creature would go through and this rip or tear would be closed behind them and they'd be left trapped in this different realm.
Sure. This idea is very cool, by the way.
It
I
is
love
very
this.
cool.
Yes.
Yes. Like a trapped like plane walker, basically. Like it's very, very cool.
Yes.
Like
there's Amryn is theoretically so powerful because she's not even of this world. She's like some kind of primordial chaos being that is just trapped here,
which is so cool.
Yes.
And after, like, as this conversation goes on, I kind of understand it that, like, that's kind of our best guess because there's not another being on this planet that is like her. Like,
Right.
she is truly unique
Right.
in that sense.
Like, he brings up the Suriel here. He says that even the Suriel have small numbers, but
right.
he does say some of those in the prison, I think they came from somewhere else. And they have been looking...
But they're still not the same as...
Right. He says, I think others like her are in the prison. So, yes, it seems like from what Rhys is telling us, she's the only one at least walking free, like her.
So maybe I misunderstood it. I understood it as like there are other like beings from other realms or dimensions in the prison who have also been trapped here, but even they are not like Amren. Like they're different, like species or races or whatever.
You could be right.
But yeah, so I find this fascinating.
Yeah, no, this was super cool. He says they have been looking for a way home for a long, long time, which if that's like Amren's end game, or is she kind of resigned herself and, is kind of more, because what would we learned about her when Rhys asked her to be his second and she was kind of just like, it seemed fun. I don't know. No one had ever asked me. I'd give it a shot. Yeah, no one had ever asked me before, and so I thought I'd give it a shot. Like, maybe she's just like obviously she's been around so long, maybe she's just like, kind of just is what it is at this point.
Could be, yeah.
I don't know. But Amren, despite what I said earlier about maybe showing the hand a little bit too much in the power scaling, I do find the idea of her being some, like I said, primordial chaos being that's from another plane of existence super cool and interesting.
Hell yeah, I agree. So they continue into the mountain. And we learn that the bone carver is caged just beneath the roots of the mountain.
Yeah. They go way
Mountains
deep.
have roots, apparently.
No, that's a thing. I know about that.
Is that a thing? Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think it's more of a figure of speech than anything, but
no, there's actual roots that grow from the tectonic plates.
Nay! I hate you.
I love that you always have that fucking shit on lock, dude. On standby.
I try.
Okay, so we also learned some interesting info about the bone carver, that this being, their image changes depending on who is looking at them.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So they find the bone carver, and it seems very ominous. There's all these like bones carved around their doorway.
Oh yeah.
And
so edgy.
And we hear the voice of a little boy say, "I have carved the doors for every prisoner in this place, but my own remains my favorite." It's a young, dark-haired boy with blue eyes. It doesn't look older than 8 years old. This is how Feyre sees the bone carver. And then the bone carver has, maybe you can provide clarity if I misunderstood this, but the bone carver has the calf bone that Feyre used when she slayed.
Rhys gives it
to
him. When they enter.
I must have. Okay, gotcha.
Rhys is like, here, you'll love this. This is the bone that Feyre used to kill the Midgarden worm or whatever the fuck it was called.
Middengard worm.
That's the one. Nailed it.
Yeah. So yeah, the bone carver says, "Come inside." He also says, "It has been an age since something new came into this world." Which I think is cool. Like, it seems like this thing is a very like all-knowing kind of like.
Didn't they say before that he was made like Feyre? Or am I misremembering? At the end of last batch, I thought they said like, "Oh, he'll talk to Feyre because she's made like he is." I could be misremembering.
I think they did say that he was made, but I don't think that it necessarily means that like.
No, not necessarily the same exact process,
right?
But that he's some sort of
like
created being, if you will.
Yes.
Because at first I was like starting to think like, oh, well, is this another person from a different dimension like Amryn. But then I was like, no, wait, I think they said he was.
I think you're right. Yeah.
More along the lines of
I remember that. So I really like this. It's just a very simple like dialogue exchange. So Feyre says, "Hello," I breathed. The boy's smile was a mockery of innocence. I really like that line a lot. Are you frightened? And she says yes, and then she remembers Rhysand say never lie, that had been his first command about entering this place and talking to that. I thought this was a very good like piece of like showing the like, I guess like the tension and kind of like the eeriness around this interaction. I liked that language quite a bit.
Sure.
So the idea here is a question for a question. So they're going to have a conversation, but if he asks a question, she gets to ask a question back.
And then this dick proceeds to ask 6 questions in a row. Midway through reading this, I was like, hold on. His ass is asking a lot of questions.
I mean, he's just excited, man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
See, I liked this stuff, though, a lot. Like, I really liked the Feyre recounting this stuff. Did you not enjoy that?
I think I liked more. I appreciated the Feyre aspect of it more, but the bone carver is just Basil exposition.
Oh, okay, like, sure, yes.
He is just here to lore vomit all over my face. And it seemed like I don't know, it just seemed to be like the most like contrived like video game ass like, okay, here's your quest. You got to go collect these 3 things, and then you're going to go to the castle and unlock this. And that'll do this and that. And I was just like, this is...
Okay, so let me say, so you remember how we were like in our Patreon segment, we talked about like the things that we like and value in stories?
I did not intentionally talk about that for this reason.
No, but I'm glad
feel like
you did,
it was very, like actually laying the groundwork
based, dude.
Right, yes, exactly. Hey, go subscribe to Patreon if you want to know what the fuck we're talking
about. We had a good conversation about story beats and kind of what makes up a good story to us.
Yes,
so,
true.
Yeah,
so you're in for this.
I'm in for this because I loved seeing the turmoil and like Feyre having to like deal with this interaction. I loved that. I just did not give a fuck about their quest. Like the quest is
okay. I thought you were gonna.
No. That's what I'm saying. I've gone past the idea of plot.
Sure.
And I like these characters enough now, where I'm enjoying these interactions because of the characters.
That's fair enough. I felt like that even the Feyre stuff, I wasn't getting. Like I felt like there was so little oomph behind it. I don't know how to phrase it. I can't quite put my finger on it. There wasn't the emotion behind it. Like it seemed like she was giving up a lot. And it wasn't that like hard for the
give and take. Oh, okay. So I don't know that I agree with that. Okay.
I can't quite put my finger on why. Like I felt like I should have been moved more by the stuff Feyre was saying, and
I have some quotes that really stood out to me.
Convince me, Zachary.
Well, I mean, I just want to talk about what I liked. I'm not trying to convince you of anything. So his first question is, where did you go when you died?
Right, yes. Fair question.
And I think that like this kicks it off in a way where like this being, I'm very intrigued with like the idea of the bone carver, which I think you said that like the info that he shares is just, you're right. It's just like very whatever plot devices, but the idea
find
of
the MacGuffin, bitches. I wish he had just said that.
But I think he's just like very interested in like very intimate and also like big type of questions, which I found that also kind of cool and like leans into this idea of this like very ominous being that it is. So where did you go when you die? And then Rhys cuts in, or excuse me, she says a question for a question, which she had been instructed, and the boy looks at Rhys and he just tells him, "You were always smarter than your forefathers. Tell me where you went and what you saw, and I will answer your questions." So, love my boy Rhys getting some flowers there. So,
Of course you do.
Feyre relives her death.
Yeah.
And so what she says is this. I have the quote. "I heard the crack. I heard the crack when she broke my neck. It was in my ears, but also it was in my skull. I was gone before I felt anything more than the first lash of pain, and then it was dark. A different sort of dark than this place, but there was a thread, a tether, and I yanked on it, and suddenly I could see, not through my eyes, but through his." And then she shows the tattoo. "And I knew I was dead, and this tiny scrap of spirit was all that I had left to me, clinging to the thread of our bargain." And I love
I say you love this because
that.
this is just like Harry Potter and the fucking what's the thing called
the Horcruxes.
Yeah,
no,
the Horcrux
what I liked
bullshit.
is the way that she recounts it. And honestly, like, I know we're joking about me being in love with Rhysand, but like I love the Feyre Rhysand love like story that's happening. Like I'm in for it. I didn't know that I would
I'm a little
be like
surprised. I thought you would be jealous. Like,
no. Well, I
Rhys,
mean, maybe
quit paying attention to Feyre and pay attention to me.
I mean, maybe a little bit, yes, but like,
Yeah,
no, like
look at
it's
look at that ass.
I didn't expect to get latched on to a love story, like to their bond. And I love it.
Okay, all
I'm
right.
so here for it, man.
Sure.
I'm sold on this shit. So yeah, you might notice that some of my quotes that I have taken out were like, oh man, like that hit. Like they're so in love and don't even like she doesn't even fully realize it yet. And like,
Oh yeah, you're big on the imprinting angle. Yeah, did you even say that? Because I have some other lines here I figured you'd love. There
Okay.
was only... Oh, because he asks...
Well, I haven't finished, but
Okay,
so if
sorry.
it's afterwards, then no, but you're good. Go ahead.
Because the bone carver asks her, but was there anyone there? Were you seeing anything beyond? And she replies, there was only that bond in the darkness. And I'm like, oh, Zach's going to love that. And when I was made anew, I followed that bond back to me. I knew that home was on the other end of it. There was
Dude,
light then.
That's
like
what
swimming
I'm
up
so
through
here
sparkling
for
wine.
this.
Is that like...
It's
I
so
knew
corny,
that
but I
home
love
was
it.
on the other end of it. Like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense. She's in this terrible place under the mountain, currently in love with Tamlin, or who she thinks.
Well, see, here's what I like.
Okay.
Is she's explaining what she felt in the moment
Uh-huh.
and doesn't even realize it's because of this like
actually
this,
about Rhys.
It's about Rhys.
Okay, sure.
And this bond.
Sure.
And I just love it's so cheesy and corny and I love it so much, dude. I'm so here for this shit.
I did not expect you to jump this much into the romance angle.
I didn't either.
I'm the romance guy.
And I think it's just because I genuinely am like, yeah, dude, Rhys
is so hot. Yeah,
that's
I
a
know.
fucking that's a
Yeah.
man right
All right,
there.
fair
And I
enough.
love that she's getting to experience this with Rhys. Okay, so Feyre asks, if there was no body, just a bone, could someone dead be resurrected? And we learn that yes, you can with the Cauldron.
Hold up, real quick before we move on to that.
Sure. Okay.
I want to back up a little bit.
Okay.
Actually, maybe this comes late. Well, no, I think part of it is here. The bone carver asks here, there was no other world. And she says, if there was or is, I did not see it. And he's like, no light, nor no portal. And she wants to ask him, where is it that he wants to go? Which is interesting. Because, yeah, it seems like that's what he's most intrigued by of like, can maybe he not die, but he wants to die and wants to know what awaits him? That's my theory about the bone carver.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
She tells him it was only peace and darkness. I'm like, peace sounds pretty great. Maybe you should have just stayed there.
Oh my God. Fuck off, Scott.
I'm just kidding. Because there's more about this later, I think. Or maybe I didn't take it down. Because there's something about how she says,
if I could choose, like I could have chosen.
Right, there was a choice.
Yes.
Is that later?
Yeah, I have that.
We'll get to that then. Okay,
Well,
continue.
really-
Sorry, where you were.
No, you're good. You're good. The only thing in between is like the plot bullshit. So
yeah.
just for the
Jurian.
sake of
Old
quick
Jurian's
discussion,
ass.
yeah, Cauldron was hidden at the bottom of a frozen lake. It vanished a long time ago, and I don't know where it went or where it is now. There were this is so dumb. There were 3 feet taken off of the base of the cauldron, which fractured its power.
Uh-huh.
So stupid.
Cauldron fell into the wrong hands. Great and horrible things were done with it. Things were forged. Such wicked things that the cauldron was eventually stolen back at great cost. But it couldn't be destroyed, for it had made all things, and if it were broken, then life would cease to be. So it was hidden and forgotten. The cauldron is just the most bullshit ass MacGuffin I've ever heard of in my goddamn life. Because then later, let me just rant about the cauldron for a second and how stupid it is. Later, he's like, the cauldron is pure magic, pure energy. It literally created everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is where, like, all life came from. It is pure magic, pure energy. Then he's like, yeah, he was probably testing its power when he resurrected Jurian. Or, like, that's what he's planning to do, is test its power to resurrect Jurian. Then he's like, but actually, even though it's pure magic, pure energy, like, listen, it can run out, though. I know it created everything, but resurrecting one person, that's going to drain that shit. Like, that takes its battery straight to zero.
It's got a cooldown meter.
It's got a cooldown period. He's going to have to rev that thing back up for a bit. So he's going to realize what it can do. He's got to recharge his batteries for a bit before he can do anything. And I'm like, this cauldron sounds, you're trying to make it sound simultaneously like it's literally like the thing that creation came from, but also it has a cooldown, and if you use it to resurrect one person, suddenly it's not so great anymore. It's gonna run out of meter. It's popped its full meter to resurrect Jurian. The cauldron is stupid and I hate it. That's my take on this.
That's okay. So I understand why you disliked this chapter.
Okay.
About that. When I was remembering this chapter, I didn't even think about that shit because I don't give a fuck about it.
Okay, fair enough. You breezed past it way more than I did. Because there was
100%.
also this whole bit where he was like, it was taken and hidden at the bottom of a frozen lake in Lapland.
Yes.
And Rhys is like, okay, cool, we're going to Lapland. He's like, but it was stolen from Lapland. And then no one knows where it went. And I'm like, why did you even bother telling us that then? Because it wasn't like
but it was
but
stolen.
hold on. Ooh, fairy dust. Let me give a dust in your eyes to distract you.
That's super fair.
Like,
super fucking fair.
Fucking asshole bone carver. I can't stand him.
Yeah, so okay.
And then at the end, hold on.
Okay,
like,
all right.
Actually,
Jesus
I
Christ.
don't even know where it went. I just have seen this quote. And then it vanished a long, long time ago. I don't know where it went to or where it is now. Millennia before you were born, the 3 feet on which it stands were successfully cleaved from its base in an attempt to fracture some of its power. It worked. Barely. So fucking stupid. He is just Basil expositioning over here, and it's just the most convoluted, like, video game ass, like, it's so... You have to go collect the 3 feet, and...
The 5...
Yes. Free the 6 sages from the Temple of Time, and then you play the ocarina.
The 5... things in telling a story, I'm guessing plot is pretty low on the list for this book, which I'm okay with. I am okay with. I enjoy the characters enough.
I'm sorry. I just had to get that out of my
honestly,
system.
I'm glad you did because that is very funny. Because I definitely did just kind of breeze past it. I was like, well, this is stupid. But I really like this Feyre stuff.
He even names the 3 temples that the feet were hidden at. And Rhys is like, oh yeah, those were stolen. Those are already stolen. Then like, why are you telling us the names of these 3 temples if that shit's gone and dusted anyway?
Oh yeah, dude, that shit is so gone.
It's so gone. Oh my god. Anyway, all right, continue with what you liked about it.
All right. So, okay, so she says, there was a choice in death.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes. And she could feel Rhys's hand contracted on my back, but remained. And I wondered if the touch was more to reassure him that I was still there, breathing. And I'm like, I love them. I love them so much.
I can't stand you.
So she's, yeah, dude, I'm going to be pretty fucking insufferable if you don't like this. I am so in love with their love. It's insane. All right. So she says, I knew that I could drift away into the dark, and I chose to fight, to hold on for a bit longer. And yet I knew if I wanted, I could have faded, and maybe it would be a new world, a realm of rest and peace. But I wasn't ready for it. Not to go there alone. I knew there was... What did she say? I knew there was something else waiting there beyond the dark, something good.
Yes, the dark seems pretty great, Feyre. That's all I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
she must really love Rhys and or Tamlin in that moment, because the dark is seeming like a pretty good deal, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Or is she just, well, no, she can't lie to him, apparently. Is she just saying this to, like, make the bone carver feel better? I don't know.
I think she was just like, I could be mistaken, but like I think that there was maybe less conversation. Like they were probably going to end their conversation until she decides that she's going to share more. So she shares that to get more from.
There's a moment when the bone carver asks Rhys, he's like, "Hey, when she dies, I get her bones. Agree to that."
Right.
And he like instantly realizes Rhys is never going to agree to that. So he's like, yeah, I can tell you won't do that, which I'm sure you'd loved as well, because that's just Rhys and Feyre lovey-doveyness.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And that's when she, I think volunteers this new information.
So the boy tells Rhys that he knows who has the cauldron after everything that we just fucking went through.
I love this as well.
He says, you only came here to confirm what you had guessed. The King of Highburn.
Which is what Rhys already fucking knew. God damn it.
I mean, he was just trying to be
I
certain.
had my suspicions.
Yeah. Super sleuth over here.
Yeah, true.
Okay, here's the next quote that I loved. When Amarantha made me kill those 2 fairies, if the third hadn't been Tamlin, I would have put the dagger in my own heart at the end. I knew there was no coming back from what I'd done. Once I broke their curse, once I knew I saved them, I just wanted enough time to turn that dagger on myself. I only decided I wanted to live when she killed me, and I had not finished whatever it was that I'd been born to do. And she notices that with Rhys, there was something like devastation on his beautiful face.
I knew you'd bring up that devastation on his beautiful
all
face.
Of it, bro. Hey, let me fucking live, Scott.
I'm letting.
Let me fucking live. No.
I'm eating.
Eating, yes. I am engaging in consumption. I mean, I will engage in consumption. Okay, this quote is truly heart-wrenching. Like, once I broke their curse, once I knew I saved them, I just wanted enough time to turn that dagger on myself. Oh, dude, that's so heavy.
That is heavy. But this, again, I feel like either more context is coming, or like, this doesn't land for me. Because she's just kind of like, I only decided I wanted to live after she killed me because I knew I hadn't finished whatever whatever it was I was born to do.
Well, surely she's the chosen one or something.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, obviously,
so,
but like emotionally for Feyre in this moment, that just doesn't work for me, Chief. It's just like,
okay.
Unless we get more context behind that, like, I don't buy that she was wishing for death, and then as soon as Amarantha kills her, all of a sudden she's like, no, I have some job I need to finish. Like, that just doesn't ring true to me.
Yeah, I mean, you may be right. I mean, I do hope that gets spelled out for us a little bit more.
But I'm sure it's gonna be her and Rhys were imprinted or some bullshit, and like what she had to do was bang Rhys or some bullshit like that.
I fucking hope so. Let's go, man. Let's get this thing on the
that's
road.
That's what Zach wants it to be for sure.
Okay, so with the cauldron, you could do other things than resurrect the dead. You could shatter the wall, for example.
This cauldron seems pretty sick. I think I'd like the lore behind it.
Is there a way to stop it?
Oh yeah, tell me about the way to stop it, please. Ooh, let me get all. Ooh, tell me the way to stop the cauldron. I'm sorry, people probably hate me right now.
I mean, it is pretty bad, dude. It is pretty fucking bad.
Oh man.
So, is there a way to stop it? Silence. The Book of Breathings.
This is literally just like, this is just the plot of a Zelda game.
I really
Spoiler alert, as much as I love video games and talk about them a lot, very few of them have good stories.
Yeah.
They are mostly just MacGuffin bullshit. And this is so
fetch
much
these
that.
items to unite them for the whatever, the powerful
the Book
shield
of
or sword.
Breathings is so funny. I love that. That's like legitimately I love that because it's like I really hope that there's some irony for Sarah J. Maas here because it's just like, yeah, they got to get some magical bullshit book. Absolutely. And what is it called? I don't know. The Book of Breathings. Like, I really hope that's how that conversation, like with our editor or whatever, went down because I'm wholly here for that. Absolutely.
Written inside the Book of Breathings is the spells to negate the cauldron's power, or to control it wholly.
Control it. Yeah, I gotta throw that.
But wait,
there's more.
It is split into two pieces.
Yeah, it is. Of course it is.
One belongs to the Fae, and one belongs to the 6 human queens.
Yeah. Big missed opportunity for it to be split into like 13 pieces. Like 7 Fae, they got to get it from the 7 Fae realms and the 6 human queens. Like big missed opportunity, honestly.
My joke was that so we've got to find all 7 Dragon Balls.
Yeah, exactly.
So
this would make a great Metroidvania, honestly. Like, you got to get the super missiles before you can unlock the door to Queen 4.
No, the left half of the Book of Breathing gives you wall jump. So once you get wall jump...
yeah, then once you have wall jump, then you can get the double jump, and that'll take you to the High Court of Dawn that Scott is theorizing is existing.
The High Court of Dongs that Scott is fucking fantasizing about.
That's all I fantasize about.
Oh man, okay.
There's only one dong that you fascinate about, and we know.
I mean, I don't know. Cassian, I feel like could probably get it.
Okay, all right. We'll get to Cassian. Don't worry. I have feelings about his ass too.
I love you, man. You're such a dipshit. Okay, let's fucking finish this chapter.
Yes.
No creature born of earth may wield it. If the book were in the hands of something reforged, you'd have to test it, of course.
Yeah,
it may be possible, of course. Let's see. The Fey piece is with the High Lord of Summer. The piece with the humans is at the castle by the sea. It is encased in magic, and it must be freely given. No magic, no trickery, or it will melt into ore. Yep. Then as they're leaving...
This is all like myth and legend, by the way. No one really thinks the Cauldron actually exists. Even though apparently these 3 temples have the feet of it just laying around. That's why because he says, "Oh, these books."
It's like under the altar. The priest is like, I always wondered what the fuck that was. They just told me not to touch it.
They've actually just been like using it as a coat rack. It's just like they've been hanging their cloaks on it. Like, shit, that was important. We just used that as a coat rack. No, I was gonna say, because he says it's like these pieces of this book are actually just symbolic because no one actually believes this thing existed. But then I'm like, then why did the humans go to such great lengths and trouble to make sure that the Fae couldn't magically steal it back, that it had to be freely given, if these are just
Maybe
symbolic?
The humans knew all along.
Maybe they did. Who knows?
There's that rich plot that we're talking about.
True,
that we'll discover. Okay.
Only that which was made.
God damn it!
Can speak its spells and summon its powers, Zach. And made is capitalized again, by the way. I knew you needed to know that. You needed to know that.
So does this imply that the bone carver
or him? Yeah, probably. If we're remembering correctly, I could be remembering way incorrectly.
Okay, I think you're remembering correctly.
Okay.
As they are leaving,
are you sure we didn't miss anything?
Bone carver says, "I shall carve your death in here, Feyre," which I think is very ominous, and I liked that. And apparently, Rhys...
Yeah, hold on. Does he mean her death before she was reborn, or is he like a prophesizer? That he's like her future death is what he's talking about?
I don't know.
No, which do you think?
When I read it, I thought he was going to carve like her future death.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough.
And then Rhys, apparently he sees the bone carver as Jurian. So he looked exactly as Jurian looked the last time I saw him.
Which, like he says, the last time I saw him when he was facing Amarantha before they fought to the death. And on one hand, I'm like, Jurian sounds kind of cool. Like, that sounds epic and badass, like facing down Amarantha before they fought to the death. But then I got to remember what my girl Morrigan said about Jurian, that he was a real bitch. That he's just an absolute dipshit.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
I trust Morrigan.
I trust Morrigan more. I'm like, Jurian, like, on the surface seems like he may be cool and epic and badass, but no, I trust Morrigan. I think he sucks. So
yeah, for sure. And that is finally the end of this chapter. Yeah. Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
I
feel like
so
we
much.
Missed. I had a lot of quotes in here. Blood spells keyed to Summer himself. Yeah, anyway.
No, does not matter.
Chapter 19. They get back, and Cass, Moore, and Azriel are all just kind of hanging out. They tell them everything they learned, which is a lot. I definitely learned a lot. Rhys says that Hybern has already infiltrated them with the sacking of the temples. So he's like, we'll just infiltrate his ass straight back. We're going to go to Hybern, but not yet. We gotta prepare. So while we're preparing, let's give Feyre a little test. Like, the King of Hybern's got to test the Cauldron. Charge its batteries,
right?
And we need to test our ultimate weapon, Feyre. Feyre not too hot on this idea.
Mm-hmm.
But Rhys is like, no worries. I've got a cheeky test here. I want to see if you can identify an object of mine that I've lost in the Weaver's Trove. And she's like, who the fuck is the Weaver? Can't you people use normal ass names? And I'm like, hell yeah, Feyre.
I love the
Agreed.
self-awareness in
Yes.
that joke. It's very funny.
It's very good.
Like SJM writing that is
Yes.
probably like, ha 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 ha.
Yes. Because then even Rhys is like, well, they throw one more name out at you.
Yeah.
Emissary, bitch.
The emissary.
The
Dude, this is a Jason
emissary.
Statham movie, bro.
This is a joke.
They used to call me the emissary.
That was a good Statham. That was a spot-on Statham. I'm going to give you an air horn for
Thanks, pal.
the
I'm honored.
best Statham I've ever heard. They call me the beekeeper. The
beekeeper.
emissary.
The emissary.
Yeah, Rhys wants her to be the emissary to the Night Court for the human realm. A very long and wordy title. Azrael is like, hey, there hasn't been one of those for 500 years. What happened 500 years ago? Was that the war? Am I remembering correctly?
Yes, the war was 500 years ago.
Okay.
Amarantha was 50 years ago. The war was
right.
500 years ago.
Okay, I thought that's what was the case.
Nice round numbers. Love that.
We love them. We love our 50s and 500s. Rhys, interestingly, says there also hasn't been a human turned immortal since then either. Do we know who he's talking about here? Was that just a little tidbit he dropped?
Well, in the last batch of chapters, they mentioned that there was one other person that was given like immortality, but that person, I'm forgetting her name now.
Okay, are we misremembering? Is that who they were talking about? It's not the Bone Carver?
I do think that that the Bone Carver was, because here's the thing. This other person was a human, and I can't remember her name right now. Like,
hey, maybe we shouldn't space these out.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, she was given long life, but she was not made into a fae.
Yes, I do recall this now.
But yes, I'm almost positive that the Bone Carver was also made, because
I think
you
you're right.
talked about the capital M.
You'll let us know in the comments in the Discord. Anyway, the human world must be as prepared as we are, especially if the King of Hybern plans to shatter the wall and unleash his forces. When do you think we're going to get the King of Hybern's name dropped? Because I'm really sick of having to type out King of Hybern every time. This book, you think it happens this book?
I mean, probably, yeah. Sure.
I have my doubts.
Okay.
We need the other half of the book from, it says, Those Mortal Queens. Jeez, they're not even like people in his eyes. And if we can't use magic to influence them, then they're going to have to bring it to us. Yeah, so yeah, he's like, this is why you need to be the emissary. You are an immortal fairy with a human heart. Even as such, you might very well set foot on the continent and be hunted for it. So we set up a base in neutral territory in a place where humans trust us, trust you, Feyre. And this is where she realized he's talking about her family's estate.
And I am so here for this because we're going to get some more Nesta and Elaine.
This is the plot development that I am 100% here for that exact reason that you just stated. Feyre... Or no, somebody else brings up is like, and maybe it may be your boy Cashew Milk. He's like, whoa, you're gonna like drag her family into this and like,
right? Yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it's Cassian.
Give like people like humans and a bunch of people are gonna die. Morrigan tells him blood is going to flow regardless. It's basically just a matter of how many humans they can save. Feyre agrees because she realizes that Amarantha was just one of Hybern's commanders, and she was fucking awful. And there's many more, not to mention the King of Hybern himself. She also wonders, because she knows Nesta's mind resisted what's-his-name's glamour. She wonders if Nesta could even resist like Rhys's powers, the mind crush, you know.
Potatoes.
Yes, that was the wrong button.
Mind crush.
Yeah, the mind crush. And I'm like, oh, please let it be so. Please gas up my girl Nesta. even more.
Yes. And then there's also a comment about how like Nesta has stated like she doesn't want to have anything to do with the fairies.
Right.
To which my note here is, okay, well surely Nesta's going to end up falling in love with one of the fairies. Like there's no way, because she's so like
I
she's
hope
so adamant
you're not
about
right, but you're probably right.
Yeah, she's surely like, I mean, and if it's part of this group, it's obviously probably it's going to be either Cassian or Azriel. It's probably Cassian,
because Azriel has a thing for Morrigan.
Azriel, yeah, definitely. I mean, that may not last. I don't know, but like,
yeah, it may not.
Which that could also be kind of interesting.
And I hate you for it.
That could probably be interesting though if it was Azriel, and if there's like a weird spat type of thing between Morrigan and Nesta.
No, Morrigan's above it all, man.
Morrigan doesn't really give a fuck.
Yeah. Like you can tell she cares about Azriel, but I don't think in that way. Or maybe she does.
Yeah, it's probably Cassian. And Cassian's hot as shit, so hell yeah, good for Nesta.
Wrong, but you're probably right. Listen,
it makes sense.
I think that Nesta will be willing to like fight for the humans against the fairies, though. So I think that's how she will agree to this.
Against Hybern.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you know what I meant.
Yeah, okay. Well, I know what you mean, but we have listeners who, maybe don't and are up in arms because you're an idiot. Time flies when you're gooning. Yeah, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. So I think this is like the next morning now. Did you have anything else before that?
No, yeah, she dreams about the bone carver. When she wakes up, Rhys walks in and helps her get dressed. He gives her a belt with some knives. Rhys acknowledges that his plan was so hold on, these are some thoughts I had. He acknowledges that his plan was delayed due to Feyre not agreeing to work with him at the start.
He's in a big hurry now. Gotta go fast.
And that he would have shared more with her if she did agree, but he couldn't risk discovery, which, okay, that makes sense. And then my note here is, this does show that he really does place her choice and willingness to like be a part of this over his plan. It's noble and definitely leans into the things I like about him, but also, dude, like this is about saving the fucking like world. Like maybe push a little harder,
Yes, you're right. But also now he's like, hey, no more time for you to be sad and in bed. We gotta
we're fucking
doing
this. Yeah, for sure.
It's time to go now.
Okay.
And kind of doesn't give her a choice anymore at this moment.
Now I'm going to read you my note.
Please don't do that
verbatim.
Anymore.
Verbatim.
Okay, read me your note verbatim.
Rhys kneels and buttons up her leather straps. My note. Okay, I'm actually sweating now. Rhys, this is a quote from the book. Rhys looked up, hands braced on my thighs. Bow. He'd once ordered Tamlin, and now here he was on his knees before me. His eyes glinted as if he remembered it too. And I'm just like, okay, dude, can you just
special 2 plums for one.
Just okay,
Is it just
so
why is
hot,
she thinking
dude.
about Tamlin in this moment? Is she fantasizing about a little?
No, she's thinking about how hot it was when he told Tamlin bow.
Oh, right.
And she's like, and
sure,
now
sure.
he's on the floor for me.
Can I read you my note verbatim?
Sure. I feel like I'm about to get fucking roasted, but all right.
So he's kneeling in front of her, strapping something on. This dude wants to get pegged so bad.
Hell yeah. Hey, man, we don't yuck people's yum on this podcast.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying he wants to get pegged.
He probably does. Maybe, maybe Feyre wants to do it and he's down.
Is this before or after he gives her shit about her lacy black panties? Because that happens also at some point.
I remember that, but I don't remember where it falls in here.
And I couldn't figure out if like those were the lacy sexy panties he provided for her and she was just wearing them, or
they
like
were.
she requested. They were. Yeah,
No,
that's what it was. That's what it was.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, I couldn't understand if like those were just what she liked to wear, and he was like, "Oh, okay, this is what you're into."
No, because he says, "I'm surprised that you're still like that. You're actually wearing these, and you haven't requested something different."
That's right. Right. Okay. So he's thinking, "Please wear these when you're pegging me."
Well, no, those probably don't have like the hole cut out.
He'll cut a hole.
Okay,
They've got
he'll figure it out.
powers. They'll figure it out. Absolutely.
Okay.
They have the pegging hole.
Professional seamstress and High Lord of the Night Court. I hate you.
Which court does that power, the peg hole cutting power, come from, Zach? Since you're the power export.
That comes.
That's got to be like the day court, because pegging's a day sport.
Pegging's a day sport.
Direct quote me on that. Pegging is a day sport.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay. So he begins to give her some info on like what the fuck they're gonna do.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go to this old like creature's house cottage in the forest.
Oh, you mean the Weaver, please.
The Weaver, yeah, excuse me. Which sounds eerily like a hag from D&D.
Oh yeah, big hag energy.
Big hag energy.
This is Auntie Ethel for sure.
1000%. Except Feyre does describe her as being like surprisingly like beautiful and supple, except also simultaneously disgusting.
Well, yeah,
and, like,
it's
saggy.
only her face. I think like her body. She's got the hot bod, but a gross face.
This is an SJM book, so she does have to have the hot bod.
Like Feyre does explicitly call out several times her like supple curves,
supple.
And yeah, she's like this body. Like, listen, her face, but this body. Let me tell you about this body.
Yeah, let me fucking write about it. Okay, so he wants her to break into her home and steal this item that she will know is his just by feeling it out, basically.
Imprints and such. Zach's very excited about the imprints.
Sure, something like that. She will not notice your presence as long as you touch only it. She is blind, but her other senses are lethal. And then Feyre says, "So am I your huntress, your thief?" And he says, what does he say, Scott?
Hold on. You're missing what he does.
Oh,
His
okay.
hands slid down to cup the backs, and I was like, "Oh, of my knees?" And I'm like, "Is cupping the back of your knees sexy?"
Dude, so hot,
I was
dude.
so unprepared for knees
Dude,
there.
so hot.
I was like, "Oh,
you touched that spot behind my
cupping-
knee.
He's cupping things. Oh, it's just the backs of her knees." As he said with a roguish grin, love me a roguish grin, "You are my salvation, Feyre."
Ooh.
And Zax just soaks his panties.
Dude, puddle,
His
instant.
lacy black panties.
My lacy black pegging panties.
Oh, that's not what I meant to do. That's Goku charging. That was not
Okay.
appropriate.
Yeah, that's what I do when I'm about to peg.
Yeah, true. That's what Zach's doing as he's reading these chapters.
Dude, seriously.
Okay.
Just an angry J.O. starts happening. I'm mad I don't have a love like this.
I'm the one that's angry about these chapters.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
All right, that's the end of chapter 19. Yeah, anything else?
Yeah, chapter 20 is pretty quick too. Unless you have a lot, I don't know if you like loved this shit. But...
No, this was at least exciting. I didn't mind this. Rhys fishes them into the forest.
Minnow.
Apparently this is an empty territory that divides the north and the south. In Prithian, this is where the mountain is. What is it called? It's just the mountain. The court under the mountain. Okay, the big mountain. Nailed it. I've lost my mind tonight.
Oh my god, dude.
Love me a big mountain. This forest is on the eastern edge of neutral territory. Here there is no high lord. Here the law is made by those who is strongest, meanest, and most cunning. The weaver of the wood is the top of their food chain. This is really getting the weaver over here, because Feyre asks, Amarantha didn't wipe them out? Amarantha was no fool. She did not touch these creatures or disturb the wood. For years, I tried to find ways to manipulate her to make that foolish mistake, but she never bought it. And I love that idea of Rhys trying to like trick Amarantha into, no, you should definitely go into those woods.
I hear there's some dope shit over there, dude.
There's some dope shit in those woods. You should definitely check that out.
Yeah.
And Feyre's like, so we're now disturbing this that Amarantha didn't even want to mess with for a mere test?
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a valid question, Feyre.
Yeah, Scott, things are just too powerful in this.
Have we said that things are just too powerful?
I mean, that is happening. That definitely is happening.
Well, listen, Amarantha wasn't powerful. Amarantha sucked. She just somehow had all their powers, which
that's
was
true.
Real hand wavy
cunning
on that one. Very cunning.
Although she was still kind of an idiot, but
she was kind of a dumb.
Yeah, she's a dumbass.
Cassian tried to convince Rhys not to take her. Possibly, I want to know your feelings on this. Possibly because he wants to bang her. Cassian wants to get in that Feyre.
I mean, good on you, bud.
I'm not
mad about it.
Well, you love both Rhys and Cassian, so where do you stand here?
I mean, why can't my girl have a threesome, dude?
Team Edgar or team
dude, I don't play teams.
Okay, all right.
I want it all, bro. Let's get it.
Let's get a three-way going.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is a funny interaction.
This is a fun interaction. I like this.
Who knows? He's probably more interested in fucking you than protecting you. And then he goes on to say, you could, if you needed, to move on in a physical sense. And Feyre's just kind of being cheeky and just like, fine, tell him to come to my room tonight.
Come on over.
I'll fuck his ass.
I'll
peg him too.
True. Tell him my door is always unlocked.
And they have like a little interaction, and then Rhys is like, I'll tell him that you're open to his advances.
Mm-hmm.
And then
he's like, hey, stop thinking about Cassian for a minute and think about me.
Yep. And she's like, she makes a move. I think it says she's like jumping off a rock or something. But he gripped my chin. A movement too fast to detect. His words were a lethal caress as he said, did you enjoy the sight of me kneeling before you? And I'm like, I mean, I fucking did.
He purred that.
He fucking purred that shit so
That line
hard.
was a big time purr.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, that was hot, though.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that was so hot. She gets annoyed that he basically tried to like rile her up before this meeting. She's like, what? Trying to make me think about sex and like, fuck.
It seems like literally, yes, by the way, that he literally is just trying to distract her.
Yes.
From sending her into the Weaver's Den here.
The Weaver Den. Weaver. I don't have a lot of notes on the Weaver interaction because I thought it was like basic like mission action type stuff that was whatever.
It was a fun sequence. I gotta admit, I was swept along in this chapter. I read a bunch of it in a row and then had to come back and take some notes. I found this more fun than the goddamn bone creature Weaver.
It's so funny that for you who are like plot, I don't give a fuck about it. I just want good characters.
This isn't plot. This is conflict.
No,
which
bitch.
I put conflict higher than
the
plot.
Bone Weaver chapter, and you could not stop talking about the plot
because it was so funny.
What I'm saying, like, if you don't care about that, that's on the bottom of your list of what you care about.
You're right, but that's like, you're right. But I'm not getting anything else I like in that moment. That's why I have to have fun with it because I'm not getting any other.
I mean, you're getting Rhysand. You should love it, bitch.
I'm not you. Like, I like Rhysand, but I'm
you should also change that.
In love. just do better, Scott. Now you're hammering with me. Just like, you should love Rhys too. What did you do?
Yeah, you should. Do you know our fan base? Come on, bitch.
True, actually. They do.
You got to get on board.
Rhysand. I am realizing that. So yeah, the pretty little cottage. This is just the spider's trap, 100%. Yep. I was getting, because of the mention of weavers and like the whole trap thing, Deep Nest, Hollow Knight
Deep
vibes.
Nest, Hollow Knight? Yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, Rhys is like, hey, on your bike, let's go. I'll be watching from back here. So she enters, she sees the weaver, and the weaver is spinning like people or like creatures, fae maybe, into like thread. Real creepy shit.
It is real creepy.
She's also singing this sick song about turning some body into like a violin, I believe.
It is very cool. Like, this chapter really did a great job with like atmosphere.
Yes,
I would say
that's what I was gonna say. Very unsettling, like the singing, the fact that it's very supple body. Like the atmosphere was very good, legitimately.
Vibes were fucking right, dude.
The vibes were right.
You have a nice supple body next to you. How could you not be living in it?
How could you not be? Yeah. So she doesn't sense the thing right away. Yeah. And now she's wondering if Rhys has just sent her on a fool's errand. He's like, maybe this has already been taken. It would be something he would do.
Right.
To tease me in the woods, to see what sort of things make my body react. And I'm like, Feyre, come on.
Come on.
We're phrasing, Feyre. Come on. And maybe I resented Tamlin enough in that moment to enjoy that deadly bit of flirtation. I bet you'd love this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. 1000%.
This doesn't seem healthy, though. She's basically saying, I hate Tamlin enough to maybe go with this dangerous guy.
Girl's got to get a rebound. It's okay.
To jump on this bike, the back of this bike with this guy who I know is terrible news.
Okay, but is Rhysand terrible news? He's been incredible.
I don't know. We shall see.
No, I think Rhysand is a stand-up guy.
This is continuing her dialogue. Maybe I was as much a monster as the female spinning before me. But if I was a monster, then I suppose Rhys was as well. There you go. Direct answer to you. Stand-up guy? No, apparently he's a monster.
Yeah, but no, he's not a monster though.
but no, actually, though.
Doesn't check out. Check it again.
No. Rhys and I were one and the same, beyond the power that he'd given me. It'd be fitting if Tamlin hated me too, once he'd realized I'd truly left. And this is then when she senses the ring. I don't have much about the actual action here. She grabs it. Oh, I guess the action is next chapter. She grabs the ring, and right then the Weaver stops singing her creepy ass little song. And that's the end of chapter 20.
Yep.
So chapter 21 is basically more of this. She tries to sneak out, but the door and the windows like close, and there's no handle on them. The Weaver starts talking to her like, who's in my house? What are you? Here's what she says. What is like all, but unlike all? Excuse me. So this, I think, is alluding to the fact that she feels like all the High Lords, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for sure.
And Feyre's like, because Feyre's having all this internal struggle about being like a trapped little mouse, and she's like, nah, fuck that. I'm a wolf. And
Dude, we got some real furry shit happening right here.
Yeah, I bite when cornered. So she grabs a candle
alpha.
And starts to burn all of her like thread.
Right.
The Weaver freaks out, and when she goes to like put out the fire, Feyre, I haven't called her that in a while. Feyre pulls the old reverse Santa Claus and goes up the chimney. But she gets stuck about partway up.
And it's gross.
Oh, yeah, because she's got like human grease and hair on her.
Yeah, like fat and hair, like all the nasty shit that gets carried up the chimney.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty gross. But as she's climbing up and she's stuck, she's freaking out. the Weaver's face pops out underneath her, like in the chimney, and like.
And let me reiterate, her face is gross. She's got a supple body, but her face is gross.
Yeah, so she can't see any of the nice suppleness, so it's especially scary because
especially
it's just
scary.
the gross face.
No suppleness in eyesight.
And so she's freaking out until she hears in her head, where did I go? Yeah, here we go. A voice in her head tells her to stop. Hey, chill the fuck out.
Does she say it's her voice, or are we assuming this is like her bond with Rhys?
I couldn't figure that out, and I think that either is okay.
Yeah,
like I would like for it to be her voice, because I do want her development in a way,
Sure.
like to like start learning to like manage that type of stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's what Rhys's intention is, which we find out towards the end of this chapter.
But then she has a line here that's good. Like I think it's a good line for her, like some inner dialogue that she has for herself.
Yes, I agree.
She says, "I was not a pet, not a doll, not an animal. I was a survivor, and I was strong. I would not be weak or helpless again. I could not be broken, tamed."
Yeah, that's a good
And I'm like, I love that. I love that she's telling
her.
herself that. It's fantastic. Really good growth to see, and just a good line.
Yes, for sure.
So she I guess bangs the inner wall of the chimney, and bricks fall on her.
She is strong. She's banging. She's stuck, but she's banging against the inner walls of the chimney, and just seemingly yanks a brick loose out of the chimney and just hucks it right into the Weaver's face.
Yeah,
just great stuff.
It is good stuff. And until she basically finally because through or escapes the chimney.
Yeah, she breaks out.
And then she starts just jumping through the trees because she's she's
Tarzan.
Ninja and Naruto now.
No, Tarzan, please. Thank you.
Oh, okay. You're right. The OG, the original ninja.
Exactly. The OG ninja is Tarzan.
Yeah, dude, that ninjutsu.
True, actually.
She reconnects with Rhysand, and
yeah, he's just chilling.
He's fucking chilling hard, and he's like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" And then realizes that hey, this is kind of a bad situation. So immediately,
she's covered in grease, human grease, and human hair.
And he's like, "Oh, I should not be fucking with you right now," and teleports her ass back.
To the House of Wind.
Yeah, so before we get to the House of the Wind, I do want to say I found myself a little disappointed that none of her, I'm a big powers guy.
Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't get to see her powers.
Yeah, I mean, you would think that in a situation like that, some of that would manifest itself.
Maybe, yeah, maybe she's saving him for a more special moment. I don't know. I also kind of
she's saving herself.
We know that's not
for a special moment.
She's saving herself for a special pegging.
Hell yeah. Dude, the title of this episode has got to be Peggy. Dude. No, or just Auntie Peggy.
Auntie Peggy?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, so he teleports them back, and they fly into the war room.
Yeah, the House of Wind.
And
Cass and Amryn are there.
Cass and Amryn are arguing about something.
Feyre still can't keep her food down. Bless her heart.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you're covered in that nasty ass shit.
Is only Amryn have the magic to get this off of her? Thanks a lot, Rhys. Jeez, Rhys. Amryn has to be the one to clean her up, magic that shit away.
Yeah.
Rhys just standing there with his thumb up his ass, dreaming about Peggy.
God damn, why is this the bit?
It's all I can think about.
There's you gotta get that figured out, my boy.
Maybe I'm working through my own internal struggle.
You're projecting,
here.
man.
Yeah, maybe I am. Oh, jeez. Look at that. Look at that ass.
So there's a mirror on the floor, and she sees herself, face scratched, covered in chimney bullshit, fat and hair, nasty shit. And Amryn is like,
we actually title it Chimney Bullshit.
okay. Amryn's like, hey, you smell like barbecue.
You smell like
She's like, you smell like
does
beef.
say that. Amryn, big barbecue fan. You know, she goes to Oklahoma Joe's like every
smoked
other week.
Meats.
Yeah.
That's her jam. Dude.
Hell yeah, bro.
Do
you think she's more of a KC or a Carolina or a Texas barbecue girl?
Well, I mean, KC is actually the only correct.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
But I don't know. There is some really great Texas barbecue.
South Carolina.
South Carolina's your favorite?
I think so. I like the vinegary sauces.
See, okay, so I don't dislike vinegary sauces, but Texas barbecue, you can eat the meat without sauce, and it's amazing. Let's talk.
You say it like that?
Let's talk about
can
this.
Eat the meat.
You can eat the meat.
Anyway, yeah, sorry. I keep derailing us. I'm so sorry.
Hey, man. We're having fun. We're 2 hours into this shit, bitch.
Amryn was a big barbecue fan. Where were we? Oh, yeah. Turns out Rhys did all this. He didn't help her. He's trying to help her conquer her fear. He's like, hey, you need to, this is like the whole thing where if you've got a vertigo, you go jump out of a plane type thing.
It's exposure therapy.
That's the one. She needs to figure out how to help herself, which I think, yes, I agree with what you said earlier about, I hope this is actually her inner voice and not like Rhys talking to her through her bond.
Yeah.
And she continues to try to help herself because she's like, hey, Cashew milk, you need to train me.
She's like, hey, you're hot. I heard you might want to fuck. How about you teach me how to fight so we can have some alone time? I heard you might need some pegging. Let's hang out. You show me your sword. I'll show you mine.
I'm pissed at Rhys right now. Why don't I hang out with you? Yeah, no,
exactly.
For sure.
She says, I don't want my only option to be running. I want to know how to fight my way out. I do appreciate that. I believe it was it Morrigan? Or no, was it Amryn? One of them said...
Morgan's not there.
Okay, so it must have been Amryn. Or one of them said, I don't fucking know. Said, keep in mind that running is what saved you
That's
right
Amryn
now.
Says that. You know what's so funny? Because I did, when I was writing my notes and reading these chapters, I wasn't thinking about this in this way at all. But since it's all we've been talking about this episode, my
pegging?
Note just says, she asked Cassian to train her, and he agrees, but says it will be rough. And I'm like, oh, I bet Feyre hopes it'll be rough.
Oh, yeah, it will.
Hey, okay, this is where I realized, I was like, is she going to give the locket back to Amryn? And then I started thinking, I was like, wait, what did the locket do again?
Dude, that's in my notes at the end of this.
Was this Amryn doing a placebo thing with her, you think, where it's just like she knows she needs to get Feyre out of bed, and it's just like, here, take this magic locket. Yeah, it'll totally protect you.
It's a Space Jam thing. It's just water.
Yes, it's Mike's secret stuff. Yes,
dude, it's so good.
Is that
my
what
headcanon?
this is?
My headcanon is that it's a placebo effect, and also that locket isn't Amryn's. That locket just got it from the house.
She found it in his
She's like,
house.
Hey, you better
somewhere.
fucking give this back. You hear?
Yeah, and she made it seem super important because of how I will murder the shit out of you if you don't give this back. I really hope that's the case. That would be amazing.
That would be pretty incredible. I
hope
don't
we get that
think
reveal.
that Sarah J. Maas has shown that type of humor, so it probably is going to mean something later, or she's going to forget about it.
You don't think she's seen Space Jam enough times?
I can tell that's where she's really drawing inspiration from.
That's where I get all my inspiration from.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's so funny.
Feyre's knees buckle.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhys's wings are out. My guy is on the move.
True.
And he swoops her up and catches her before she hits the ground. He flies her out the window and then winnows her to her room. and the bath was already running.
Aww.
Aww.
Her maids are very thoughtful. I like her maids more than I like Rhys.
All right, fair.
Hey, do you want to talk about this ring real quick?
I do.
Because she asks him how he lost it. And he says, I didn't. My mother gave it to me as a keepsake, then took it back when I reached maturity and gave it to the weaver for safekeeping. And Feyre is like, why?
For safe
so
weaving.
I wouldn't waste it. The fuck does this ring do?
I think that this ring is like...
This is the key to unlocking Amren. That's what it is. The ring will be what, like...
Wait, but how would his mother
know
know this?
That was just the first thing that popped into my head.
This is definitely the ring that he proposes to Feyre with whenever that happens.
Oh, yeah, no, that makes more sense.
Yeah, this is definitely the ring.
Actually makes more sense. Only my beloved bride can retrieve this from the weaver successfully. Yeah, that's 1,000%.
Yeah,
what this is. Okay.
That's 100%. But
I'm not
do think,
romance brained enough, apparently.
Yeah, this shit has infiltrated my mind and asshole.
Oh boy,
it's so poor boy.
Yeah, I'm sorry, buddy, for torturing you.
No, you're fine.
The only thing that I'm interested about here, or that I find, because like to me, like yes, this is obviously like meant for his love or whatever, like whoever his mate is,
right?
But
some Illyrian custom because his mom was Illyrian, right?
His mom was Illyrian, but she says because I don't want you to waste it. So I do feel like there is some type of like magical property with it.
Sure.
That will be bestowed or given to whoever he gives the ring to or something like that. But yeah.
He's gonna train her in her special powers. Cassian is combat training and he is special power training.
And he thinks that right this second is the time to do that. Hey, you just fainted, my girl. And you really stink and want a bath, but let's do this right now. I did not like that.
Everyone knows that the best time to train is when you smell like barbecue.
Hell yeah.
And I guess she's technically not covered in the grease and hair anymore. Amren took care of that, but she still feels like she is.
She feels icky. She even says, I can still feel it on me.
Yeah. Your boy is, like I said, I'm with you that I didn't love this because I feel like for all the agency he was giving her before, he's like, time's up on agency. Like, go.
Yes,
I'm kind of torn.
I don't feel like that fully. Like, this moment was standout because it felt like, no, we're going to do this now, which I haven't felt like that. Like,
well, I mean, that's what he did this morning, too, when he came into her room and was, like, inspecting her panties.
She had already said that she was good to go do this.
Did she, though?
Yes, because, I mean, you kind of took the lead on that chapter, but yes, one of the things I had was that no, it's fine, but, like, he gave her, he looked to her to, like, before he said this is what we're going to do, like, and she even makes a comment of him, like, always giving her the choice.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Yeah, but now that she's, like, committed to it, I think he's like, all right, these are the steps.
Sure.
You know, but this was standout different for me because she straight up tells him, like, I don't want to do this right now.
Right.
Like, I want to go take my bath. I feel like shit. And he's like, no, now's the time.
Yeah.
So it was a little strange, but he does say, I'm surprised that Ianthe didn't carve you up to see what that power looks like inside of you. And Feyre asks, like, are you going to, basically she's like, are you going to fucking tell me, like, what the deal is between you guys?
Right.
And he says, get past my shield and I'll tell you. And I took a lot of these notes, like, kind of paraphrased here. If you have specific things, and obviously cut me off.
Of this memory?
Do you have anything?
Yeah, no, I kind of just paraphrased a lot of this as well. So go ahead.
Okay, so she tries to get past his shield and fails miserably.
Yeah.
And I feel maybe this is just I'm making this up in my head, but I feel like this is the first time she's like really acknowledged like the power of his shield, like how well his mind is protected. So I don't know if like he has previously just like not been using his full power or whatever the fuck. But she
He's
says
only using
like
10%
this
of his power.
yeah. She says like the shield is like this massive wall that just cannot be.
It's just like it goes on forever.
Right. But he laughs at her and says, okay, that was a good try. Just for trying, I'll show you this. So he takes her hand and he takes her into his mind. And I like this description. She enters kind of an antechamber, as she calls it. And it becomes a bedroom that is carved from obsidian. And Ianthe is laying naked in Rhys's bed. And Feyre is
cold
like
in there too.
Yeah.
Sarah J. Maas makes sure to let us know it's a bit nippy in there.
It is cold.
We breast be going, am I right?
God damn you. So Feyre tries to back out of the memory. She's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to see this.
Oops, actually, I don't want to know.
And then she realizes that she has been kind of shut in by Rhys.
Trapped.
She activated his trap card. So this is a dialogue loosely. You kept me waiting. Ianthe says this to Rhysand in this memory.
You waiting, huh?
You kept me waiting, and he says, get out. I see the way that you look at me, High Lord. You see what you want to see. Stand up guy. Fuck Ianthe.
Great line. Yeah.
Yes, you see what you want to see.
Ian.
Old Ian ass.
Old Ian ass.
She wants Rhysand to marry her, says that they could rule Prythian, that their offspring would be super powerful, super goated.
Yeah.
And Rhys is like, dude, fuck off. Get out of here. And she walks up to him naked and attempts to just straight up grab his dick.
Yeah, true. Also, apparently, she's tried to do this with like every male in his court, and Morrigan too, if I read correctly.
That's how I understood it.
Yeah,
that she definitely made a pass at Morrigan. When she attempts to grab him, he lashes out, and he basically like
breaks her hand.
Yeah, breaks her hand, pins her hand down, crunches the bones and tendons, and he tells her, "You will heal, but if you touch another male in my lands, the rest of you may not fare so well."
And now her true self is out. She's like, you will regret this, and she's just like, the true malice in her is like on display.
Right, exactly.
And he throws her out.
And Rhysand, he explains to Feyre, he's like, hey, well, I'm showing you this vision, so there's stuff to unpack there, but also you need to understand that when you're entering somebody's mind, you need to make sure that you have left a way out for yourself.
Right. That's rule number 1, he says. He's got them listed.
Otherwise, you can be trapped in there. Feyre asks, when was this? And he says, this was about 100 years ago. She tried to, quote, build ties between the Night Court and the priestesses.
He finally relented because he's like, she's young and untested. Maybe she can be the change her order needs.
Right.
Turns out, no. Big time no.
Yeah, turns out no. It turns out she sucks. And you kind of called this in our earlier chapters, but...
About Lucian?
Well, yes. But just that Ianthe fucking sucks.
Oh, yeah. True.
Feyre realizes that Ianthe must have made these same types of advances at Lucian. And probably, maybe has been able to kind of force herself on him or gotten away with it because of her position in the Spring Court.
Yeah, she thinks, had he been forced to say yes because of her position. And if I went, and then she also thinks, if I went back to the Spring Court one day, ... how would I ever convince Tamlin to dismiss her? What if now that I was gone, she was, and she kind of trails off. So she also thinks maybe Ian's banging Tam, now that she's gone.
Yeah.
Which I also wouldn't be surprised about. Tam's a
Yeah.
piece of shit. Ian's
Tam
a
is
piece of shit.
Tam is a piece of shit, actually.
Let's when are we going to enact Operation Rescue Lucian is what I want to know. Let's get my boy out of the fucking spring court because fuck that place.
Dude, I thought about this, actually. This chapter is what made me think, like, fuck, man, we got to get, like, Lucian is, like, in a bad spot.
Yes.
Because fuck Tamlin, fuck Ianthe, and I actually like Lucian a lot.
Yes.
And then I started realizing, like, I think
you've already said you think Lucian dies this book.
Well, I think Lucian dies. Probably. But
well, I think Lucian dies.
No, he's an easy character to kill, is what I'm saying. Like,
you're the worst. Don't say that. Yeah, don't say that. Cassian's gonna die. Fuck you.
I think that yeah, right. Yeah. Cassian's way too hot, way too powerful.
He's way too powerful, bro.
But I think that Lucian is, like, his shtick is that he is so committed and loyal to Tamlin, despite how, because I think Tamlin's going to go off the deep end, probably becomes maybe not like a villain per se, but just like he's just following the wrong path.
Yeah.
And I think that Lucian's going to stick with him, and that's going to be like his unmaking, basically. Like, I get that because, like, he's just so fiercely loyal to Tamlin because of what Tamlin has done for him. I find it hard that they would rescue Lucian and Lucian would be okay with it.
I hate it here.
I mean, do you think that tracks or
yes, that's why I hate it here. Lucian could take Cassian.
Yeah.
Fuck you. That's all I'm gonna say on the matter.
You think Lucian could fight Cassian?
Lucian could absolutely take Cassian.
Okay.
I am ride or die for Lucian. You better believe it.
Okay. All right, Naruto.
Anyway, I hate that you might be right, and I don't want to think about it right now.
That's
Rule
probably
2,
what's gonna happen.
Rhys tells her, be prepared to see things you might not like, which Feyre did not seem to enjoy this. Only 50 years later, Amarantha had come and done exactly to Rhys what he'd wanted to kill Ianthe for. He'd let it happen to him to keep them safe, to keep Azriel and Cassian from the nightmares that would haunt him forever, from enduring any more pain than what they'd suffered as children. So this is Feyre. I wanted to point this out because it's Feyre thinking about the sacrifice, how great the sacrifice was that Rhys made. Because, yeah, he was about to kill Ian for these advances, and then he allows Amarantha to do much worse, just to keep them safe. So, to your credit, she's thinking about how hot he is, basically.
I mean, how could you not?
And then this chapter ends with Feyre saying, I was now a certified book tracker, it seemed. Better than being a party planning wife for breeding little high lords. What Ianthe had wanted to make me to serve whatever agenda she had. Oof.
Yeah, fuck Ianthe.
Yeah, true. Anything else in chapter 21?
No, sir.
All right. Let's polish this shit off. Chapter 22, I feel like, was pretty short.
It was. I enjoyed this quite a bit.
So I enjoy this because Morrigan is just lounging on Feyre's bed, asking,
and they're just having a good old time.
They're just having a chat. They're just being gals. It's great.
It really
like,
is.
Hey, what do you wear to human lands anyway? Also, she's been drinking and partying all night, but she's like, fine. I'm like, this is my girl. I love her to death. But boy, okay, no, I'll save that. We'll get to that. Okay, what is this? I have a quote in here. Oh, Feyre is telling her about kind of like how human people are. Nowadays, most women wed, bear children, and then plan their children's marriages. Some of the poor might work in the fields, but the wealthier they are, the more restricted their freedoms and roles become. You'd think that money would buy you the ability to do whatever you pleased. And Morrigan remarks that some of the High Fae are the same. So for all the in the first book, I feel like all the talk we heard about like how refined the Fae were and how they were so much better than humans and, more just, on a higher plane of existence. Like,
Right.
that seems to be just Tam's bullshit, because Morrigan is here
Yes.
telling us like, no, like, this sounds familiar. This is the exact same kind of shit the High Fae do. Which is good. I think kind of this tearing down the notion that there is huge differences, like in the way they live. Obviously, like powers and stuff, there's huge differences, but like, I think that's going to be a heavy theme. It's been a heavy theme already, but going forward, it's going to be like,
Yeah.
the fairies are not better than the humans,
Yeah, no. I mean, the humans aren't fucking plotting to wipe out the fairy kind,
True.
As far as we know.
They're just as far as we know. And then we get a little taste of Morrigan backstory.
See what it tastes like.
She just kind of very softly tells Feyre that in the Court of Nightmares, females are prized. Our virginity is guarded, then sold off to the highest bidder. Whatever male will be of the most advantage to our families. I was born stronger than anyone in my family, even the males, and I couldn't hide it because they could smell it the same way you can smell a High Lord's heir before he comes to power. The power leaves a mark, an echo. When I was 12, before I bled, I prayed it meant no male would take me as a wife, that I would escape what my elder cousins had endured, loveless, sometimes brutal marriages. But then I began bleeding a few days after I turned 17, and the moment my first blood came, my power awoke in full force. And even that God's damned mountain trembled around us. Morgan's so cool.
Dude, she's so badass, dude.
But instead of being horrified, every single ruling family in the Hewn City saw me as a prize mare, saw that power and wanted it bred into their bloodline over and over again.
That's fucked.
That is fucks. Feyre asks, what about her parents? And Morrigan tells her, my family was beside themselves with glee. They could have their pick of an alliance with any of the other ruling families. My pleas for choice in the matter went unheard. And Feyre thinks to herself, she got out, I reminded myself. Mor got out and now lived with people who cared for her, who loved her. And then Morrigan ends this with, the rest of the story is long and awful, and I'll tell you some other time. And I'm like, God damn, Morrigan. She says the rest of the story is long and awful?
Yeah.
What the shit was all the rest of that? I
really like her, man.
I love
She's
Morrigan.
just so interesting.
She's so cool. Let me circle around back, because there's one more fucking amazing thing she does here. She tells her, I came to tell you that I'm not going with you to the mortal realm. And Feyre asks her because of how they treat women. And seems like that is the case. Morgan says, when the queens come, I will be there. I wish to see if I recognize any of my long dead friends in their faces, but I don't think I would be able to behave with any others. She is always so refined and restrained. I think it's amazing that she recognizes that she would be unhinged and
yes,
just go nuts if she saw some shit.
Yeah, I agree. And the way that Morrigan's written is just so hey, I'm gonna give you a little interest, but also don't fuck with me, but also I'm gonna be the coolest, most chill person. She's so good, dude. Yes. I love Mor.
Same. Feyre asks her if Rhys told her not to go, and she's like, no, actually the opposite. He tried to convince me to come. He said I was being ridiculous. But Cassian, he gets it. We wore him down last night. And yeah, she gives us a little bit more here. Cassian helped Rhys get me out before either of them had the real rank to do so. For Rhys, getting caught would have been a mild punishment, but Cassian risked everything to make sure I stayed out of that court. He has no idea what he's worth more than any other male I met in that court and outside of it. Him and Azriel, that is. One last thing from Morrigan here I have to touch on.
Okay.
Feyre tells her,
Oh, I love this.
I'd like my sisters to meet you. Maybe
Yes.
not today, but if you ever feel like it. I want them to hear your story and know that there is a special strength. As I spoke, I realized I needed to hear it, know it too. A special strength in enduring such dark trials and hardships and still remaining warm and kind, still willing to trust and reach out. Moore's mouth tightened and she blinked a few times. I went for the door but paused with my hand on the knob. And this is Morgan. I'm sorry if I was not as welcoming.
No. This is Feyre telling
Feyre.
Morgan.
You're right. I'm sorry if I was not as welcoming to you as you were to me when I arrived at the night court. I am trying to learn how to adjust. A pathetic, inarticulate way of explaining how ruined I'd become. But Moore hopped off the bed, opened the door for me, and said, there are good days and hard days for me, even now. Don't let the hard days win.
I love her so much, dude.
She comes in for like half a chapter. And she wins this section, Zach. I will straight up fight you. This was the best shit of this whole section, this conversation between Morgan and Feyre. I fucking loved everything about this. I loved that we got just a little taste, a little tease of her backstory.
Yep.
About how she doesn't let it like control her. She doesn't let it beat her down. She recognizes that she still has like good days and bad days, but as she tells Feyre, like, don't let the bad days win.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we talked about this when she was first introduced about how considerate and just kind she was, where she was like, hey, if you want company, I'm here for you, but didn't try and like force, her company on Feyre. She just kind of waited and was like, willing to be there for her.
I loved that interaction so much. And then at the end of it, when Feyre asks, like, well, where was Morrigan?
Yeah.
And Rhysand tells her, well, she was waiting for you to say.
She was waiting for you. Yeah.
She waited for you.
She didn't want to disturb you.
Oh, yeah, dude. Morgan's so good, man.
She's so cool. I love her to death. I can't wait till we get more. More. I will say I am a little upset that Morgan is not going with them.
Okay.
Because that just, obviously this story is from Feyre's point of view and we're going to the human land. So we're not going to see Morgan for a while. So I'm a little pissed about that. But I guess, absence makes the heart grow fonder or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. I did want to say,
Time
like,
flies
this,
when you're
there's
gooning.
this. Yes. There was this very, very like short moment where like part of like them getting dressed up, or like her getting dressed up in human clothes, is like Morgan is like kind of like oh, like what's that? Okay, like just kind of weirded out by it all.
Mm-hmm.
And Feyre describes this moment where she's like continuing to get dressed and Morgan's just watching her and like being cool, and how she doesn't feel like embarrassed by this. And she says, like, I could be like wearing like basically nothing.
Yes.
And I know that Morrigan would be like, fucking work it, girl.
I have the exact
fucking
quote
work
if you want
it.
to hear.
Yeah, please.
Moore made no comment, and I knew that if I had worn nothing but my undergarments, she would have told me to own every inch of it.
And I just love that, man. Like, she's just like, girl, like, that's just my girl, dude. Like, she's just
so
being
cool,
like
dude.
supportive and loving.
God,
and
yes.
I really, really like this interaction.
I love how Feyre talked about, I need to see this scene now more than I need anything, is yes, Morgan meeting her sisters.
Oh my God, yes.
How Feyre says like they need to hear your story. Like, that's just like, God, I need that scene so bad.
Yeah.
That's my one piece for this story. Like, I need to see that. I gotta have it. Yeah, go ahead. I talked a lot there.
No, you're good. I mean, you pretty much hit you, like, your notes were basically just my notes this chapter. They're getting ready to leave.
Don't let the hard days win. God, that's so good.
They are getting, so Feyre is getting ready to leave, and like Rhys has to like winnow them all to like this area that kind of borders the spring court.
Yeah, he's got to go fishing.
Yeah. And Feyre makes a split decision to fly with Azriel instead.
I feel like she's like, you know what, Rhys has been a little too frisky lately with me.
Well, she says that, but
with Azriel.
She says Rhys has been too frisky, but she's like she's saying, I can't stop thinking about his hands up. No, I know she doesn't say that.
Yeah, that's you projecting, bud. She's like, Azriel seems like a gentleman. I'm flying with him. And to his credit, Azriel is a perfect and considerate gentleman.
Yes, no, you're absolutely
Unlike
right.
that fucking frisky little fucker that wants to get pegged.
Dude, let's go, Rhys.
Let's go.
Yeah, my note was Feyre can't stop thinking about Rhys's hands on her thighs. Same girl, but she chooses to fly with Azriel.
It was the back of her knees, remember?
Yeah. So while they're flying with Azriel, like he's just so stoic and like
I love Azriel. I feel like you're the Azriel hater train.
Dude, you're the one that didn't like him the first chapter.
No, I liked him. You liked Cassian. I wanted him on the list, and you wanted Cassian on the list.
You said that you thought he was like maybe a little void of personality.
I don't know. I wanted him on the list.
Well, yeah,
and I mean, you didn't.
The list is not the end all who we like.
It sounds like I liked him more than you, is all I'm saying.
So Feyre, there's just this very short exchange. She admits that she doesn't know where she fits in anymore. As they're like,
because she says like she calls fairies like them again. Then she's like, I guess we,
us, we. Yeah, she changes it, and he's
Azriel, like, you'll get used to it.
Yeah, you'll get used to the like the term or whatever the hell he said. And then she admits that she doesn't know where she fits in anymore. And he says, I've been alive almost 5.5 centuries, and I'm not sure of that either. And I'm like, I like this guy. Like he's quiet, stoic, emotional, but also like has a very like strong sense of duty, I feel like.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The only negative comment / joke I had was like, dude seems like a real downer. like
that doesn't make him a downer. He's not like, what I appreciate about him is he's not trying to be edgy. Like he's not Sasuke over here.
I would almost like it if he was no, not like trying to be Sasuke, but like in moments of like fun and stuff, if he's just like I hate it, like, you know, like I hate things, you know. I think that would be fucking funny. That would
be pretty funny, actually. That would be pretty funny.
And then this chapter ends.
Yeah, I liked this little interaction between the two of them. It was very brief.
Yeah,
not a lot there, but I appreciated it, and I liked that Feyre is like suddenly playing a little hard to get with Rhys. She's like, actually, I want Azriel to fly me. Fuck you.
Yeah. It's pretty good.
That's great.
And then this chapter ends with them in the human lands.
Yeah, she's home.
She's home.
She thought Under the Mountain was home at one point. Apparently. All right, let's do this thing, Scott. You don't have any wrap up? Jeez, you want to jump?
Well, honestly, the only wrap up I had, you already talked about the amulet.
I talked about it a lot. Oh, okay.
The amulet. Yeah, my wrap-ups are like, what the fuck did this amulet do?
Right. Yeah, and did she give it back? I hope she forgot, and that at some point, like, she wakes up and Amryn is just menacingly standing at the foot of her bed in the middle of the night, and it's just like, you didn't give me back my locket. I hope that happens, because that would be funny.
That would be very funny.
And then, like, as she gets her most terrifying, and Amren's like, just Josh, and yeah, that was Lockett, some trash I found in the alley. Like, you went on there in your own power. That would be great. All right, it's time for Who Be Courtin'. Where we last left off, Morrigan, the love of my life, had taken the top spot. Rhys was at 2, Feyre was at 3, Amren was at 4, and Cassian was at 5. Zachary, I don't like Cassian, I've decided. Cashew milk. I want him off this list.
Why don't you like Cassian?
He's just like he's a frat boy. He's like just a dumb.
So he's Lucian?
No, but Lucian's fun.
No, bitch.
Cassian is not fun.
No, we joked about Lucian being a frat boy.
Lucian,
and you agreed.
Nah, Lucian's Astarion. That's what we decided. Lucian is Astarion, and Astarion rules. Cassian is just like, yeah, bro, we're gonna get some brewskis down at
Cassian
the pub.
is
Come
Karlach,
on, England.
bitch.
No.
No, he fucking is, dude.
No. He has not said. Karlach is funny. What has he said that's been funny?
He's always poking fun at Rhys, which is exactly how Karlach is.
Name me one funny thing that Cassian has said, and I'll let him stay on the list.
You just don't like him because he's not a hot-ass demon woman. He's a hot-ass bat boy.
He's a hot-ass bat boy. Okay, before we get to that, like I said, the thing I enjoyed the most was the Morrigan part here, so I would like her to stay at 1. I know you're probably gonna fight for your boy Rhys.
I actually think it's between Feyre or Morrigan this batch.
Interesting.
Feyre was like, I mean, I know the jokes obviously is the whole recent stuff, but like legitimately, I really did like Feyre with everybody this batch.
Kind of true.
Like obviously we joked about the whole bone carver thing, but I liked Feyre's side of it a lot. I liked her interactions with Rhys a lot.
Yeah,
I love her stuff with Morrigan. Obviously,
her stuff with Morrigan was fantastic.
Is incredible, and I really like the bit of like growth and stuff that she has during the whole Hag Weaver scene. So I have a lot of stock in Feyre, but also like Morrigan's chapter. That whole chapter was Morrigan, and it was like it was perfect.
And that's where I would say I put Morrigan slightly above her, because I feel like I loved half of the stuff Feyre did in this section, and I didn't love half of it. Like I wasn't.
Well, it's because you didn't like the plot, you bitch.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that, like I said, I think that her. I still just want to know, like, where are we going to get the. Like, I guess the more in depth of why she chose to come back,
live and stuff,
right?
Okay,
like
sure.
That just, like I said, that didn't ring true for me. Like the way she explained it, either there's more coming that we don't know, or that just seemed like out of character for her,
right?
So for that reason,
I'm okay with Morrigan,
okay.
But I think Feyre is like a second pick lock for me.
Okay, then let's do that. Let's move Feyre. I definitely know what I'm doing. Don't worry. Feyre up to second, and Rhys goes third. Then I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean, like, I obviously think Rhys is like super hot, but like he didn't win this batch for me. Like, I honestly consider Amren maybe over Rhys.
Really? Okay.
I think Amren's so much fun and like so interesting. Like the stuff we got about her is so interesting to me. So like
she's so powerful.
Yeah. She's so OP, dude.
She's so OP, bro. All right, I'll shake the Amren at 3.
Do you like that better? I mean, like, am I missing anything?
I do,
like,
yes. Like,
yeah, I think
I
that,
question some of the things Rhys did this section, and I'm not head over heels in love with him as much.
Well,
as
no,
you
I
are.
know. I mean, like, and as much as I do genuinely love his character, like, being objective here, like,
yeah.
This wasn't his batch.
Was going to this prison really worth it when you just found out things you pretty much already knew?
Yeah. Yeah, I do think Rhys would be after Amren for me personally.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And
And 5th is Azriel, because he actually did something and Cashin did nothing.
Okay, so my question was going to be does the Bone Carver beat?
Fuck you mean Basil Exposition?
Yeah,
Fuck
man.
that guy.
Fuck yeah.
I would sooner put the Weaver on here.
Well, the Weaver is supple, at least.
The Weaver was very supple. Was there anyone? Why do I feel like we're forgetting someone? Her maids drew a really nice bath.
I mean, well, we did get like the Ianthe bit, but like.
Oh yeah, well no.
No, yeah. No, I think that's everybody.
Lucian mentioned. No, I really liked this interaction between her and Azriel, and I think he deserves to make the list.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make sure we weren't forgetting anyone. Okay, that will do it then. Azriel at 5, Rhys at 4, Amryn at 3, Feyre at 2, and Morrigan at 1. That is this week's Who Be Courtin'. Zachy boy, I think it's time for us to get the hell out of here.
I think it's time after 2 hours and 47 minutes
on
this fucking show.
40 of that was the
Patreon.
Yeah,
I guess that's true. Guys,
we didn't get sidetracked at all.
We love and appreciate you guys so much for listening and watching the show. If you haven't already, please consider hitting the subscribe button or follow button on whatever podcast listening app you're using. Leave us a review, share the podcast episode, do all the fun stuff. We appreciate that so much. It goes a long way in helping us. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.